you ever so kindly, much appreciated. So this is Chairwoman Melissa Caprillion. Again, now that we have started our recording, this is December 15th Government Services meeting. And we're going to start off. Normally we start off with our youth and governance comments and remarks, but they are not present this evening. So public comments. I'm just looking at our participant list. It doesn't look like we have anyone to speak for public comments. We're just going to move right along. I do not have any comments myself this evening. So the next item that we have is approval of the minutes from the past meetings. I would just need a motion. Second.
Move to approve the minutes. Dembski.
Second.
Supervisor Dembski. Thank you, Supervisor Smetana. It's been moved and seconded. I'll just pause a second if we have any comments. Okay. All those that are in favor, please feel free, raise your hand or say aye. Okay, I see all hands raised. That has been approved. All right, new business. This is where I'm going to pass the baton on to Pam to talk about our youth and governance update.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here and seeing all of you again tonight. Just wanted to give you an update as we're beginning to wrap up our outreach. It ends on Friday, so in 3 days. So as of today, we have 6 youth nominated from Horlick, 2 from Park, 13 from Case, 6 from Walden, 6 from the Prairie School, 2 from St. Cat's, 1 from Waterford Union, 2 from Union Grove, 15 from Burlington High School, 1 from, I know, wow, right? Catholic Central, we have 1. Muskego, that's atypical as well, we have 1. So far we have a total of 55 students who have been nominated. So that's a little bit lower, but then again, considering we still have 3 days and we're in this whole virtual realm, I actually feel good about that. Where I'd like to see some youth nominated from, so if you have any pull, Real School, they did nominate last year and for some reason they haven't this year. Racine Lutheran, Virtual Academy, and Homeschool. And I have reached out to all schools at least twice. So everyone's aware of that. The deadline is Friday, and we'll see. And who knows, we still may get some, just as we may get some from any of the other schools. And NOAA supervisors, you are welcome and encouraged to nominate youth. Just a little comparison compared to last year. So 2020, 2021, the current group, we had 64 nominations and 22 applications, and which is 34% of youth who are nominated applied. And 2019, 2020, we had 66 nominations and 25 applications. So at 38%, we'll call it application rate. So if we do the average of 36%, that means we'd have 20 youth apply. So hopefully we'll have at least 20, ideally more. But, you know, looking at how the trend has been the last 2 years, it's about probably where we'll fall, as we know that will be enough to fill the spots. Because I know at one point we said if we didn't have enough nominations, we'd have to discuss extending the deadline. So at this point, I don't see that being needed unless some of you feel like, no, let's give it an extra week. All right, so here is...
Yeah, thank you. This is Chairwoman Caprillion. Would you happen to have at your fingertips, just so to the date at which we were going to do interviews?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are doing interviews on February 24th, and I think it's safe to say they will be virtual this year. I don't see things changing before then. So then it's just a matter, typically we have 4 youth we interview at a time. So what I'm envisioning is that I would send out a Zoom link only because then I can control in the waiting room who comes in and who doesn't. And MT, this is something that in the past, I know you haven't had to attend or so. So I envision that, and we could still do the 4 youth. We typically have our first group start at 5:30, and then just depending on how many applicants we have, our last group was at 7:30. We try to have the last group be 8 o'clock at the latest. And being it's virtual, I would think one night would be enough. If not, we have the next Wednesday, which I'm going off the top of my head, I think it's March 2nd. I know the last 3 years I've been involved in this piece of it, we haven't had to use that second night, so we'll see. Oh, I take it back. We had one student we had to do virtually last year who couldn't make it, but it was because she fell ill that day. So that's when interviews are. And then since quite a few of you are new to Government Services Committee, I do want to share with you the process. So we will send out applications by December 30th at the absolute latest. In fact, my goal is to have them out next week. That gives you even more time to apply. And then they are due on Thursday, January 14th. At that point, I scan in all applications and I will send them to you. In the past, I would come to the January Government Services meeting and I would also give you physical copies if you chose to receive them that way. As we know, we'll be meeting virtually. So I can offer, though, if you want hard copies, I could always mail them to you. But otherwise, just expect where I scan them in and send them to you. You will also receive a score sheet. And then I ask that you read through all the applications and score them and send the score sheet back to me. The score sheet can be a picture that you take. You can scan them in and send them. I send it as a fillable form, so you can just fill it in and send it. And all of this will be in written form as well when I send it out to you. But I just want you to be aware of that's one way that you help out with the process as well as the interviews. And then, we'll discuss who you want to interview. In the past, quite frankly, we've done everybody because numbers we could. I think maybe there was one youth where we looked at his application, if I recall now last time, and we were just like, the score was so much lower that we said we will forego asking him, but we typically bring back everybody. So then it's just a matter of, do you want the score sheets to me on Friday, January 29th, or do you want one more weekend and get all the score sheets to me by February 1st? Because that gives me enough time to get the letters out and invite everyone for the interviews. Because I send a letter and I email you who we asked to interview. So preference on a due date for your score sheets.
This is Chairwoman Caprillion. I think let's set the earliest due date, and that way, if it just for whatever reason we are lagging, we have that little cushion, but let's give ourselves that earlier deadline so it gives you an opportunity to work and complete your end of things. Is that okay with the group? And plus we're doing things virtual and it's not really the shifting of the papers, and so I think it should be a little bit easier to get back to you. Does that sound fair, committee? Okay, I got thumbs up. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. So that'll be January 29th. And so then I'll make sure youth are notified by both letter and email around February 8th, which gives them a couple weeks to RSVP. And then other than that, I'd like to share with you the project. The youth and governance representatives met with Chairman Roundhouse and Vice Chair Kramer last week to present their idea. They felt they needed their okay before they could move forward, and it's because this year they would like to establish a youth and governance scholarship. And so for obvious reasons, they needed their backing and their support and perhaps even some financial support from the board. So the scholarship would be open to Racine County residents who are enrolled in a 2 or 4 year school. So it could be someone who's a senior, or it could be someone who's already attending a school and that they would require proof of either attendance or acceptance, letter of acceptance, or proof of enrollment. They envision a 2-part application, one that's written and one that's a choice. And the choice piece would be, it could be an essay, it could be some sort of slideshow or PowerPoint presentation, a poster, a podcast, a video. They want the applicants to have a choice, and they will establish, now that they have the go-ahead, they will establish the criteria. So they will actually have an evaluation rubric once they determine the criteria. So that's our next step. They will provide a prompt for that choice piece. They have 3 ideas, and if anyone has any ideas tonight, I know they would welcome them. The 3 they have identified so far is, what is a change you would like to see in Racine County and why? The second is, what do you see as a current issue that Racine County is facing, and what is your response to addressing that issue in the county? And the third choice would be, what do you love most about Racine County and why? So applicants could choose one of those prompts and then have a presentation that answers that question. They would like 3 adults and 2 youth in governance. I should say 3 supervisors and 2 youth in governance reps, or it could be flip-flopped. It could be, if supervisors prefer, the 3 youth and 2 supervisors that will serve as the evaluation committee. And they would also like to upload all the submissions, just the project piece, onto the county website to highlight youth in the county and the great things that they do. As far as money goes, they already have $250 that they know they will be getting from the Waterford Marching Band alumni. And then we're going to work on securing additional funding. And then besides creating the criteria, they will work on promoting this scholarship within Racine County and ensuring that the work is original work and that it's accurate, and determining how and when they will announce who won the scholarship, who was awarded the scholarship. I mean, ideally, they were thinking of attending the schools. If they're a senior, so many schools have an award ceremony, and that would be that at that time. Otherwise, another thought they had was to invite the recipient to a county board meeting and have it presented there, or both. And then finally, and this was not discussed in any detail, is would they continue to work with Chairman Roanhouse and Vice Chair Kramer, or because Youth and Governance or Government Services Committee, oversees the Youth in Government program, would it be then 2 or 3 of you would vote to be an evaluation committee, and it would in essence fall underneath your committee? So that's where they're at this point. It's a lot. So any questions, comments, concerns? I'd love to hear them.
All right, this is Chairwoman Caprillion. That was quite a bit. I do have lots of questions, but I almost feel like the youth should be present to answer this if this is their project. And yes, I think because Government Services oversees the youth in governance, that it should be something presented here to this committee, or extract some supervisors to be part of this process too that are from this committee. My question is, this must be not, this must just a scholarship for 1 year, correct? They're not foreseeing this to be for the next year for other youth in governance to oversee, or for somebody else then to man once they're gone?
They, at this point, I think they would love to see it be more of their, we'll call it legacy project. And so they would love for that to be part of that. However, they also recognize, and right, that requires other or additional support. So it would be the Government Service Committee, let's say, saying, yep, we're okay with that. And that's why they also felt they needed to talk to both chairpersons, because it's also like, what about financing this, and who would be responsible? And that's why that was their biggest concern, because they recognize that. And then you're putting that on a future group saying, oh, you have to secure some money. So we know already it's 1 term, 1 time only. But I know that they would love for it to be in subsequent years if it's at all possible.
So that comes part of building a sustainable plan, which is a whole nother kind of project as well.
Right.
So is there anyone from the committee that has any questions for Pam? Okay, Supervisor Meyer?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I got a question, Pam. Are they having a dollar amount that they have, in as far as a goal? Is it a $500 scholarship, $1,000 scholarship, or is that still kind of to be determined? And the only reason I'm asking is because if they're going to go out and try to solicit funding of some sort, if they are able to overachieve their funding goal, that would be like seed money, going forward. But it's just one of those things where if they have an idea in mind, if they have a dollar amount set. That was just my question. Thank you.
Sure. They gave a range of $250 to $1,000. Here's the thing. When we started this project, again, there too, that's why they wanted support from both chairmen. I think in their minds, they thought that perhaps the board would be able to provide some of that money, that it would be something they'd want to adopt and it'd become part of the budget and say, every year we will give out a $500 scholarship. Don't know based on the conversation, if that will be possible, there is a youth and governance fund. So we have money available. However, that money is earmarked more for when, for instance, the reception or the bus tour. So those types of expenses, so not a scholarship. So I think in their minds, they thought if we have board support, it will be board funded. Whether that will come to fruition, we don't know, which is why they figured at least this year they would do some additional fundraising, if you will, to make sure that at least this year they can provide a scholarship.
Chairwoman Melissa, thank you. Was there any other questions you had, Supervisor Meyer? Okay. Is there any other questions from the committee? I will just say my comment to that. I think the part about Youth and Governance Project is for them to really work on something that they develop, that they support, and that's something they work through. So for them to come up with a project, which I mean is definitely commendable, but that will carry beyond them and become the responsibility of others to foresee and obligate in a way, right? So, you know, I'm not, you know, with the taxpayer money, you know, come the budget time. I can't wrap my head around that yet. And maybe I would love to hear a little bit more of the ideas coming from the youth around that. So, I mean, we already have a lot of budgeted items. We have our cultural fund that shifts and different groups come in. So, you know, people are always vying every year to get that money. And all of a sudden we're going to grant this scholarship every year, a certain amount. It seems so unfair to all those who are writing these grants to try to get county funds in a very competitive kind of process.
Sure.
So that's just my first initial thoughts after hearing this. So I would like to see this be something where the youth this year are raising their own funds, but they go through that effort and have that type of success. You know, let them feel the fruits of their labor this year, and whether it's at the end of their term, that's when they present the scholarship.
Sure.
So,
all right.
Yep.
Thank you.
So that, yeah, but I would love to hear from the youth if they would like to come and present to our committee or something like that. That'd be fantastic. So,
well, perhaps we can have them present in January at the January meeting.
nice.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
That sounds real good. Thank you for that. All
Sure.
right. Thanks, Pam. I'm going to move along to the next item unless somebody had some questions for Pam. All right, just remember this Friday is the deadline to get those nominations in. And so the next item on the agenda was a communication that came from the county board. And this is one of those resolutions that come from another municipality, resolution number 112002 from Monroe County in support of the increased county child support funding. Do we have a motion for this item? And to maybe guide, this is one of those that are receive and file to
Move
point
to
of
receive and
information.
file.
Okay, thank you ever so kindly, Dembski. Do we have a second?
Supervisor Maldonado, second.
Thank you, Supervisor Maldonado. We have a motion on the floor in a second. Any comments, questions? All those in favor, raise your hand as an aye. Perfect. And there was none opposed, so we'll mark that one as received and filed. And the last thing is adjournment. Unless we have any new business that somebody would like to present the next meeting. Oh, lots of smiles that we get an adjournment at 6:19, I hear. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Supervisor Maldonado. All right, I'm going to call this meeting at 6:19 complete. And thank you all for attending this evening. I wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Chairman Caprillion,
Thanks.
did anyone second that motion to adjourn?
It looks like Supervisor Meyer is just about to. Isn't that right, Supervisor Meyer?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, very good. All right, goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Merry
Great
Christmas,
seeing you
everyone.
all. Yeah, happy holidays, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.